Okay, here we have 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. And again, there are two ways we can solve this or factor this, either by a trial and error or by AC method. I want to show you AC method. Now let me write the quadratic expression next to it. Change color. So ax squared plus bx plus c is basically the form that we have. And when we use what is called AC method, we have to look at the coefficients in front of the x. So a in this case would be 4, b is negative 20, and c is 25. The first step of AC method is to multiply a times c. In this case, 4 times 25 is 100. Now we're looking for a combination of two numbers that when we multiply them give me 100, but at the same time when I add them they have to add up to the middle term of negative 20. So a combination of numbers, I usually write it like this, that gives me 100 when I multiply it, product, and it gives me the middle term of negative 20 when I add the two numbers. So you can go on the side and write some possible combination of two numbers that multiply to 100. 1 times 100. Since the product needs to be positive and the sum is negative, both numbers have to be negative. We take care of the sign later. 1 times 100 doesn't work. Another combination is 2 times 50. If I add those two numbers, I get 52 and not negative 20. So then I go 4 times 25 until I reach 10 times 10. Now make both of them negative. Negative 10 times negative 10 is a positive 100, and a negative 10 plus a negative 10 is a negative 20. So my combination of numbers here that I'm using is negative 10, negative 10. So now what has to happen, this negative 20, this middle term, has to be rewritten into negative 10x minus 10x. I'm using the two numbers that I found, and I'm just gonna rewrite the negative 20 into negative 10, negative 10. The first term stays the same, so I bring down the 4x squared, and the last term also stays the same of 25. You have 4 terms now, and 4 terms you factor by grouping. Factor by grouping. What does that mean? That means you split the 4 terms in half. So I draw a line right here, and I look at the first 2 terms first. What is the greatest common factor of 4x squared minus 10x? The greatest common factor is 2x, and then I factor out the 2x into 4x squared, that leaves me with another 2x, and negative 10x divided by 2x is negative 5. Okay, then I look at the second 2 terms and I factor out the greatest common factor here, which in this case is 5. But since we're starting off here with a negative 10, you have to factor out a negative 5. So basically you divide negative 5 into negative 10x, which gives you positive 2x, and divide this here by negative 5, which gives you negative 5. So you can also write it like that. Just divide everything by your GCF. Now you see that the 2 parentheses are the same. And they have to be the same, because if they're not the same, you did something wrong. So we factor out the 2x minus 5 as your new greatest common factor. So these are the 2 that are underlined. You write it out once. Whatever is not underlined, that is your second parenthesis. So not underlined is the 2x and the minus 5. So that goes into your second parentheses. So now you have factored 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. It factors into 2x minus 5 and 2x minus 5. They're actually both the same. You could also write that as 2x minus 5 squared, since the factors are the same. This is really a special trinomial. This is called a perfect square trinomial. You have a perfect square at the beginning, and you have a perfect square at the end. 2 times 2, 5 times 5. So if you were to do this by trial and error, you would put the 2 as your first terms and your 5 as your last terms. However, that doesn't always work out. So I would recommend, the way to go is really AC method. So try another one.